The 90s were a time for ripped jeans, skateboards, and everything being totally tubular. Throw some ducks into the mix and you've got the makings of the Disney afternoon lineup. For all of you 90s kids out there, these names will probably ring a bell. Quack Pack, DuckTales, and the terror that flaps in the night, Darkwing Duck. And if you were not fortunate enough to watch these shows, here's a brief explanation. These 3 shows follow the adventures of secondary characters from the cast of the original Mickey Mouse cartoons. Each show centers around a cast of quirky, or should I say, quacky, characters all embarking on unique adventures, like being a superhero in disguise, or a grumpy billionaire. But there could be something else these shows have in common besides their friendly, feathered main characters. Is it possible that DuckTales, Quack Pack, and Darkwing Duck all took place in the same universe? The whole theory starts with DuckTales. DuckTales follows the adventures of billionaire Scrooge McDuck and his 3 grandsons Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and sometimes Webby, Scrooge's housemaid's niece. Through their crazy adventures, they encounter several villains that try to steal Scrooge's fortune, but of course, Scrooge and the boys always prevail. According to the conspiracy, after the events of DuckTales, Scrooge dies of old age. Since Scrooge was gone, the boys had to go live with their Uncle Donald. And that's how we get Quack Pack, which is a series with an almost identical structure. But instead of Huey, Dewey, and Louie gallivanting around with Scrooge and his billions, they join Donald Duck, a camera operator, to his news reporting girlfriend on their travels around the world. And as if Quack Pack takes place years after the events of DuckTales, and on the same timeline, Huey, Dewey, and Louie are all teenagers now. So if DuckTales and Quack Pack are supposed to be basically the same show, what happened to Webby? She was a major character in DuckTales and went on most, if not all, of the adventures with the boys. So wouldn't she also be in Quack Pack if that were the case? Take a moment to remember that Webby wasn't related to Scrooge by blood. Her guardian was the maid, Bettina, so after Scrooge died, she most likely went to go live with her. So now, what about Darkwing Duck? A show about the adventures of a mask-wearing, web-footed superhero whose alter ego is suburban father, Drake Mallard. Well, if you can recall, Launchpad McQuack was Scrooge's trusted pilot in DuckTales. So if the events of this conspiracy are true, after Scrooge's death, Launchpad would have to find a new job. So Launchpad offered to be Darkwing Duck's sidekick and pilot to his plane, the Thunderquack. And how could we forget the reoccurring characters that cross over from show to show? This really does add some ground to this theory. In the Darkwing Duck episode, In Like Blend, we get a cameo appearance from the Beagle Boys, Flintheart Glomgold, and Magica the Spell, all of Scrooge's arch enemies from DuckTales. And in DuckTales, we see Ludwig von Drake, Donald Duck's uncle, who we learn is actually a close friend of Launchpad McQuack. Von Drake then becomes Donald's resident inventor in Quack Pack. From all of this, clear connections can be drawn between characters that tie all 3 of these shows together. And is it really a coincidence that 2 of the cities in both of these shows are named from duck puns? Duckburg and St. Canard feel like they could really exist in the same universe. Now, does this foul theory hold up, or can we quack the case? Well, this theory is so incredibly plausible, it quacks me up. But there are some things that might keep it from being true. When Darkwing Duck was originally developed, it was intended to be a spin-off series of DuckTales. The idea of Darkwing Duck was inspired by 2 episodes of DuckTales, 00 Duck and The Masked Mallard. In 00 Duck, Launchpad becomes a secret agent, and in The Masked Mallard, Scrooge becomes a masked vigilante superhero, wearing a purple uniform and cape. Apparently, there were plans to have Launchpad and Scrooge McDuck be a crime-fighting duo, but due to having no heart, the show idea was scrapped. And from there, writer Tad Stones went on to develop Darkwing Duck, which means that maybe residually, all the crossovers and cameos are just coincidence. Another thing to note is that in Quack Pack, the characters are shown interacting with humans, while DuckTales and Darkwing Duck exclusively feature anthropomorphized animals. We could propose that somewhere along the line, ducks took over the human world. But wouldn't we have still seen humans in DuckTales before we see them in Quack Pack? This theory is well thought out, and who knows, maybe in this universe, humans are only found in certain geographical areas. Well, this conspiracy isn't quite all it's quacked up to be, but it still builds a solid nest. Honestly, I'm still pretty convinced of this theory, despite the few gray areas we brought up. And I do have a soft spot for Disney afternoons. So on the plausibility meter, I'm going to give the Quackvasion conspiracy 3 duck blurs out of 5. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Cartoon Conspiracy. In the comments, let me know what you thought of this episode. If you guys have any suggestions for conspiracies you'd like us to cover, send us an email or even a video and we might feature it. Make sure you check out that preview for next week's episode and catch up on any episodes you might have missed. Join the Channel Frederator Network, subscribe to Channel Frederator, and I'll see you guys next week.